Our government has done more than any previous Canadian government to get unnecessary guns off our streets. We have banned military-style assault weapons. No one should have those. I grew up on a farm. A rancher, a hunter, does not need a military-style assault weapon. And then recently, we have gone further, and we have put a freeze on the sale of handguns. And likewise, I have to say, you do not need a handgun to go hunting deer. And if there are coyotes who are harassing your cattle, you're not going to go after them with a handgun. So these are necessary measures. They are not fully in place yet. We need to get that legislation passed. And by themselves, they're not going to end everything. You can have laws that ban something and people will still break those laws. That is true. But do we as a country have to end, what I would describe as these fake fights over guns? Yes, we do. I have huge amount of respect for people who need a rifle to hunt a wolf or a coyote that is eating their calves. That happens. I've seen it. That's okay. That's necessary. But you do not need military-style assault weapons for that. You do not need handguns for that. And we really, as a country, just have to end this.
We're going to come back to that in a second. Let me just remove it for now. Is there anything more annoying than her pronunciation of coyotes? Now, is coyote different than coyote? Let me actually, before I get too far into this rant, let me just make sure that coyote is an animal. No, it's a coyote. Okay, it's a different pronunciation for a coyote. She sounds like my cousin Vinny talking about two utes, except she's talking about coyotes. And I don't know if she thinks it makes her seem like more authentic, like she's a country girl talking about them coyotes that are coming onto the property late at night. I don't know if that's what she thinks. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say most people will pronounce it coyote. And the people who pronounce it coyote, I'll believe it when they do it. And I don't believe Chrystia Freeland talking about coyotes. It's like, to me, it strikes me with the same lack of sincerity, total falseness as Hillary Clinton talking about the fact that she carries around hot sauce in her purse when talking to a certain demographic that she thinks is going to like the fact that she claims to carry around hot sauce in her purse. This is like Chrystia Freeland trying to cozy it up with country folk who she thinks are going to like the fact that she says coyote. But setting aside the coyote versus coyote, she grew up, you don't need a handgun to shoot a coyote. Nope. And nobody ever said you did. But let's just go back and break this down, because the definition of insanity, I think it's Albert Einstein's expression. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Where is it? This is it. Is this it? This is it. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Let's just break this down piece by piece.
Government has done more than any previous Canadian government to get unnecessary guns off our streets.
Stop it right there. Their government has done more than any other previous government to get unnecessary guns off the street. To her and to Justin, all guns are unnecessary because you don't need them for self-defense. If you need them to hunt, most Canadians don't hunt. Most Canadians live in big cities. As far as they're concerned, all guns are unnecessary. But it's their government that has done the most to get unnecessary guns off the street. Okay, interesting. Let's just look at trends in firearm statistics. For those of you who don't know, their government came into power in 2015, 2016, I believe. At least that's when Justin Trudeau was elected prime minister. 2015 is when their government came into power. Their government has done more than any other government to get unnecessary guns off the streets. Oh, let's just look at that little chart right there. That blue line is firearm related violent crime. Look at that, right around 2015. Oh, it actually started in 2013. Up to 2020, and it's gone up this year, but I don't think they have stats that are up to date for 2021, 2022. So their government has done more than any previous government to get unnecessary guns off the street. And would you look at that? The increase in, using this approach, the rate of firearm-related violent crime in Canada was found to be 20% higher in the 6 years from 2015 to 2022 than over the previous 6 years, 2009 to 2014. Well, it's working so well what you're doing, Chrystia Freeland. You may want to continue doing it, because if the goal is to reduce crime, clearly your government doing more to take unnecessary guns off the street has been working wonders. And then just one more point on that. I won't belabor this because I also see our guest is in the backdrop. The next point that she makes.
We have banned military-style assault weapons. No one should have those. I grew up on a farm. A rancher, a hunter, does not need a military-style assault weapon.
Stop right there, teacher. Can you define what a military assault style rifle is? Is it function? Because if it's function, then those don't exist even under your previous ban, because magazine capacity has been restricted in Canada. So if you're talking about style as in the appearance versus the functionality, I'd like you to define that for us, please. And then they've banned assault-style rifles under their 2020 order in council, when most people don't know this. Let me pull up the other stat real quick. Who knows what type of what type of gun violence is most predominant? I think you'll not be surprised by it. Handguns were the most serious weapon present in the majority of firearm-related violent crimes between 2019 and 2015 to 2020. 60%, 59% rounding up. And spoiler alert, people, they were not lawfully procured handguns. They were not lawfully procured handguns that were obtained after following a course, a 2-day course, getting your private acquisition, your PAL license, registering it, having all the regulations that apply to a lawfully owned small arm. They were black market guns, people. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? But she recognized it later on. Of course, criminals don't follow the law. These are only intended to govern law-abiding citizens in the first place. So that might account for why, just maybe why, the government that has done more to remove unnecessary firearms from the streets, which in their mind is all of them, banned assault-style firearms without defining it, has seen a steady increase in gun-related violence, the majority of which is committed with handguns, the majority of which, if not the vast majority of which, are black market, illegally procured firearms in the first place. Nothing to do with the lawfully procured, law-abiding citizens who went through the hoops to get their license, register it, be regulated by all of the restrictions, etc. But no, obviously, if you want to achieve a result that you're not achieving through what you're doing, double down, because government is one of the few institutions that gives itself a raise with each successive failing. All right, rant over. With that said, people,